Alyssa Al-Hadaf was a 14-year-old soccer player and creative writer. Scott Beagle was a 35-year-old geography teacher and camp counselor. Miguel Angriano was a 14-year-old student, younger brother, and beloved friend. Nicholas DeWart was a 17-year-old swimmer headed to University of Indianapolis this fall. Aaron Feist was a 37-year-old football coach with an 8-year-old daughter. Jamie Gutenberg was a 14-year-old freshman and talented dancer. Chris Hickson was a 49-year-old father, husband, Iraq veteran, and wrestling coach. Luke Hoyer was a 15-year-old student and loved member of a close-knit family. Cara Loren was a 14-year-old Irish dancer and very loved daughter. Gina Montalto was a 14-year-old color guard and winter guard member and an artist. Joaquin Oliver, known as Guac, was a 17-year-old lover of sports and his longtime girlfriend, Victoria. Elena Petty was a 14-year-old ROTC member and frequent volunteer through her church. Meadow Pollock was an 18-year-old hardworking student headed to Lynn University in the fall. Helena Ramsey was a 17-year-old diligent senior student who would have started college this fall. Alex Shatter was a 14-year-old baritone and trombone player in marching and concert band. Carmen Shenchuk was a 16-year-old National Merit Scholar finalist and hardworking student. Peter Wang was a 15-year-old JROTC member and lover of culinary arts. All of these incredible people are gone. They're from hundreds of miles away, so what does it even matter to you? They're strangers to you, so you won't have to grieve them like their families and friends are. You won't have to feel the pain of witnessing your favorite teacher lay down their life to save yours, or know the painful longing of a friend who didn't make it home from school one day. But what if this happened to you? I'm Ellie Miller. I'm a 15-year-old band member and student, an avid reader. I'm a Kentuckian high school student with interests, hobbies, and goals, and I'm not so different from these Floridan students, and neither are you. That thought terrifies me, because who's to say that this will never happen to our school? That my name will never be on a list of victims? Truthfully, it could, and I fear it every time I walk into school. That is why I'm working to unify our school to prevent more injustices like Parkland. These were 17 students, teachers, daughters, sons, friends, lovers, but most importantly, they were children. In a day, they became a statistic, another life cut short in a place where they should have been safe, another innocent life taken by an incident that could have been preventable, but none of our leaders seem to care enough to talk about it. Not until 17 children and teachers are dead. The truth is, I shouldn't know these students, not yet. I should have learned who they were in the future, when they had made a worldwide impact with their ideas and talents. I wonder what incredible things they could have done, but now I'll never know, because they were denied their right to shape the future with their own hands. Instead, they have to shape it with their unnecessary deaths. Instead of being known as famous dancers, athletes, musicians, or scientists, we will forever know them as the victims of the last mass school shooting, the last massive loss of life in a building where they were meant to be safe. It is up to us, those still living, to carry on their memory, and let it be written in the history books that this injustice was the point of no return, that it caused an outcry so loud it could no longer be ignored. Register to vote, call your legislators, your leaders, refuse to be silent. Change will not come with indifferent silence, so speak up, and don't stop until they truly hear us, until they hear the voices of the future and their demands for change ringing loud and clear.
My name is Phoebe Clark, and I'm a sophomore here at Ryle High School. As a way of healing, I wrote this poem and piece that I would love to present to you today. The title of my piece is Together. I do not know them, and yet I do. I see their faces caressed by the traces of their tears. I cannot see them, and yet I feel them, their presence hovering over the space between us. There was calm, the stillness of a road, one less traveled, waves kissing the warm expanses of the shore. Standing in the midst of calm comes the brewing storm of hurt, a tidal wave crashing upon the sand. The wood is stirred, the heart is burned, the shore is torn, a great divide now worn. He picked it up, and he drove it right into the hurt, and yet it was there, lurking in the dark corners of the mind. A soul of light, a heart of hope hovers between the balance. Still, I tremble at the word, as the world rages, the waves crashing. Still they saw the hurt. Still they watched it burn. And all the goodness and all the kindness and all the gentleness of the world is held in the balance. And when the world wept, they picked it up. They reached for it, the hands of those oppressed. And it's in the midst of chaos, in the eye of the storm, still We reach to touch the faces of the dejected, the oppressed, the hurt, the lost, the lonely, the broken, the bruised. And amid the storm, they rose again. As the world crashed around them, they linked arms and they held. And as we touch the faces stained by tears, as we remember the hearts pierced, we hold hands, carrying the fire, stepping into the future unknown, together. And while we can't say what is to come, and we can't see tomorrow's light, and we can't feel struggle's sting, the lights returned. We remember. We remember and we love. As figures of the light, carrying the torch, we stand together. What can we begin to say? How can we begin to heal? How do we begin again? How do we continue on? It is difficult to begin, but in the midst of chaos, it is imperative that we start somewhere. I did not know them. I never had heard the soaring voices of those lost in this tragedy. Only now do I know a fragment of their story, shards of the lives crafted into this grand mosaic we call life. Only as the glass is shattered do we begin to listen, to crane our necks to hear their voices, piercing the hearts of those they touched. Only now do we strain to hear the voices joined with some divine chorus, one that sings of justice and peace and hope and love. I do not know them, and yet I do. Each day, as I begin to heal, as I vow to remember the light within them, I know them. As I rise each morning, I see the reflections of the present, my reflection, and I see their faces in mine. In the presence of time and space, I see the ripple that they have made in the ever-changing course of the river of life. In the midst of this tragedy, the waves of grief have pounded against our hearts, as students, as sons, as daughters, as friends, and as the faces of tomorrow. The uncertainty of tomorrow looms above us, and yet, we continue on. As we continue to write letters of encouragement, as we honor the memory of those lost, and as we live each day, we continue on. Each day, as we rise, we choose to continue on. And by living each day to the fullest, we honor their memory and sacrifice in a far greater way than words, flowers, and cards ever could. By choosing to stand up, to make our voices heard, we as students transcend the boundaries of space and time and age. We are students, a body united not only by grief, but by love for one another, and our relentless hope for the future. By continuing to show love, to share kindness, to maintain hope, the students of Marshall County High School and Douglas High School live on through us. Each day, we may never be certain of the hand we are dealt, but we are each faced with the opportunity to stand for something greater than ourselves. We are each given the chance to make the most of the time we are given. Despite this tragedy, we are united. We are united not only within our school, our nation, our state, but with our world. As the concert of the globe turns to watch, it is our responsibility as the faces of tomorrow to shape our world, to shape the future of those to come. If nothing else, please, please hear this. You are priceless. There are people who love you. There are people who care. You matter. And while I may not know you, never forget that even when it seems like there's not light within you, that there's not light without you, there will always be at least one person by your side. May we adopt not a mission of hatred. May we not give in to fear, but may we be strengthened as one. In the words of Rachel Joy Scott, I have this theory that if one person can go out of their way to show compassion, it will start a chain reaction of the same. It is my greatest hope that we would lay aside our differences and we would lay aside our pride as students, and that we would make it our mission to spread the fire of compassion, love, and kindness. Kindness is a choice, and compassion is a chance to share the light within you. May we forever answer the call as we carry the torch for those before us and for those yet to come. Thank you.
To those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Morgan Lewis. I'm 15 years old, a sophomore. I've had a passion for Japanese food these last few months, and I've loved music since before I can remember. But none of that even matters anymore because right now I should be in World Civ studying for the test we have tomorrow. Instead, I'm standing here talking about yet another of countless school shootings, yet another reminder that even as we sit in our classrooms and laugh with our friends, we are not safe. And I don't know about you, but this fills me with anger. In Parkland, Florida, at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School on the 14th of February, 17 people were wounded and 17 people were killed. 17 people. Alyssa Alhadeff, Meadow Pollock, Martin Duke, Nicholas DeWart, Aaron Feast, Jamie Gutenberg, Chris Hickson, Scott Biegel, Luke Hoyer, Kara Lobrin, Gina Montalto, Jaqueen Oliver, Elena Petty, Peter Wang, Helena Ramsey, Alex Shader, and Carmen Schentrup. I know that to many of you listening right now, this is old news. For some reason, this is just another day in our society where school shootings and mass murder are mainstream. Sandy Hook, Columbine, Virginia Tech, Red Lake, Santa Monica, Marshall. Need I continue? But for one moment, I want everyone to imagine how much sorrow and suffering and heartbreak these deaths have caused because the memory of a person doesn't simply disappear when they die. How many people did they love? How many people loved them? What were their hopes and what were they passionate about? What were their dreams? These are things we will never know now because that is what death does. It ends the sentence even if the sentence isn't complete. In its wake, it leaves deep cuts that will never heal and will ache on the coldest of days. It leaves a mark that cannot be made right again. However, there is also something much like power, which is founded in the tireless work of these 17 people's friends and families. In such a loss, there is something that speaks loudly, voice heavy laden with grief, a common origin in memory. Do you know what it is called? I am no genius, but of this I am certain it is called change. Regardless of your individual stance on the spectrum, and whether you are conservative or liberal, if there is to be a day when we can finally go to school without doubting whether we will return home, it is entirely our responsibility to make it a reality. We are capable of preventing such a tragedy from occurring again. So to my friends, my classmates, my fellow students, I say this: do what you can. You have a voice, unlike those 17 whose voices were stolen and silenced forever. Use it to the best of your ability. Speak loudly and with passion, even if you fear ridicule. And I will leave you with this final statement. Our speaking will permit other people to speak until laws are changed and lives are saved and the world is altered forever. Next time ask, what's the worst that will happen? Then push yourself a little further than you dare. Once you start to speak, people will yell at you. They will interrupt you, put you down, and suggest it's personal. And the world won't end. And the speaking will get easier and easier, and at last you will know with surpassing certainty that the only thing more frightening than speaking your truth is not speaking.
My name is Adrian Heafley, and I'm a junior, and I have hope. Hope for a bright future, hope for happiness, and hope for peace. We live in a dark and unpredictable world. We cannot always change what is going to happen, but we can prepare ourselves to face whatever comes. I believe there is one skill we need to equip ourselves for this world, and that is hope. Hope is found everywhere, but it may not always be received. Is your glass half empty or half full? I know it's cliche, but it does apply. Everyone has something to be hopeful for. We just have to have the eyes to see it. It is not a trait that you are born or not born with. It It is an ability you learn and hone. Essentially, you need to train yourself to be an optimist. Pessimists may say they don't need hope to live, therefore they can live without it. They are right in some aspects, but very wrong in others. Individually, you can choose to live without hope. You do not need it to live, but others do. Take a minute to think about your daily life. Think about all the people you come into contact with each day. You make an impact on all those people. In all that you do and all that you say, you are making an impression in someone else's life. Albert Einstein said, "Only a life lived for others is a life worthwhile." The human race is made to be social and have relationships with others. We are dependent on each other, and as a community, we need to lift each other up. So where does this fit into the solution for a brighter world? How does helping a couple of people improve humanity? We are mere drops in this pond called Earth, but a single drop can create a ripple that reaches the edge of the shore. You are one person, but we are one community, and one state, and one country, and one planet, and one solar system. We may only be one person, but we are all intertwined in the web of life, and if one strand is broken, the whole web can unravel. We are connected, and in order to expand our web, we need to create new connections. The more strands, the stronger our web is. We need to connect ourselves to people who will make us stronger. We need to reach out to people who may be starting to unravel. If we all do our part, our web will be strong and beautiful. We are made to stick together. We are made to build a web of support. We are made to inspire each other. We are made to have hope. Hope can be contagious, and we all need to catch the bug. If we can find one little ray of hope, our world will shine bright with sunlight. I have hope that by uniting as a community, as a school, we can bring justice, happiness, and peace to this world. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you to the students who organized this event, and thank you to our administrators for supporting our scholars. In the lower commons during lunch today, you will find banners from Mrs. Harwood's art students. These banners will support Marshall High School and Stoneman Douglas High School. We encourage our students and faculty to send messages of hope and support to those schools. And again, you can find those in the lower commons during lunch today. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Miss Dorgan, and I am the sponsor for the student-led organization, Raider Alliance. Raiders Alliance purpose is to support mental health awareness and suicide prevention. Depression and anxiety are the two most commonly diagnosed mental health issues among teens. It is extremely rare that someone with a mental health issue will hurt others. In fact, it is more likely that individuals with mental health issues are likely to be the target of violence. If you feel alone, please know that you're not. Please reach out. Reach out to Raider Alliance. Reach out to the Ryle Pride Club, any club or organization. Reach out. Reach out to your friends. Reach out to your teachers, counselors, coaches, or principals. Reach out. Reach out to the Suicide National Prevention Hotline, 1-800-273-TALK. Reach out. There are resources all around you. Make the choice to use them to help you or someone else. Raiders, this is your time. This is your time to be heard. This is your time to make a difference. Hashtag What's Your 17 is a social media movement started by Girard High School in Ohio to remember the 17 individuals killed at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School. They challenged their students to come up with 17 ways to be kind while honoring the 17 lost. So, Raiders, I challenge you. What would your 17 reasons be? Once a Raider, always a Raider. Let's find 17 reasons to get riled up. Thank you.